And we're here. Hi, Yvonne.
Hello, Evie. How are you?
Fine. I'm just gobsmacked. I cannot believe we're doing this for 100 times already. We have been doing
Absolutely.
this for 100 times. That's amazing. I love that.
Absolutely. And we need to celebrate that. First things
Yes.
first is like 100 lives. I mean, I don't know what we set out at the beginning. I don't really think we said, we'll just keep
Yeah.
going or whatever. But 100 lives in, and we're still rolling. So I just need to do my little celebration dance for that.
I'm joining along.
Yes. Oh, it's
Ah,
been it's been great. It's been such a journey, and I know that we've kind of changed the title a couple of times along the way, but underneath it all remains the same. This whole thing about positive intelligence, mental fitness, really looking at the different patterns that show up in our lives through the words that we use and how we keep on replaying and reliving them. And quite often without realizing that it is like a built-in disc, it is like a system that's just playing out. And taking this time to raise our awareness so that we can really question those narratives and decide whether they are true or not, whether they are relevant to a situation or not, so that we can, in fact, show up and act and be true to ourselves and ensure that we're not being held back by old patterns that just aren't serving us anymore.
yeah, 100%. I feel that this is important to discuss, not only for the people that might be listening, but also for ourselves, because the work never stops, really. We keep learning, and we see things, even things that we know, we see them with different eyes, depending on where we are in our lives, at what stage. And we change. And as we change, we see things a bit differently, or we realize that things that served us some time ago don't serve us anymore. They're not loving to us, as it is said. And who doesn't want to be in a loving relationship, especially with themselves?
Yes. Indeed, absolutely. And I really love this work, and that we've been able to continue it and we will continue it is, like, to me, really vital. So quite often when I get messages after a live, be they in the comments or be they in my DMs, it's just understanding that for every person that has a realization or a deep understanding or an awareness or whatever, that's the work. That's what we set out to do with these in the first place. And so every time somebody connects with us and says, thank you, or wow, that really sat with me, I really got that this week, that is the purpose and the joy of doing these lives. So long may they continue, Evie.
Oh, yes.
First 100 under our belt. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
So, what are we talking about today then?
So today it's about resilience redefined. And I find this one really interesting because actually we had a comment on Tuesday from Hira who said, strength, when strength stops feeling empowering and starts feeling like pressure, something's not quite right. So that strength, literally, that, we talk about resilience, and it's that strength that we have to keep on going. But when it's not empowering and feels like pressure, is that really resilience? Is that resilience? Or is this another pattern that is playing out? And I think if we start with the first phrase, which is, I just have to push through, there's plenty in there to unpack. So I'm going to
Yeah.
let you start, Evie. How does that?
But yeah, the thing is that that phrase, I think, is quite strong for all of us, in many respects, and especially in the beginning of my work. Uh, I could see that, I could feel that, because there is this narrative that is going on about consistency, and people for like mix up, and I surely did, consistency with pushing through. And it's like, no, no, I'll do one more thing and one more thing, because that um, probably is going to get me to that next thing that, well, just around the corner is the thing that I want, and I need to keep pushing through. And I think the message here is like, that's not really the one that doesn't, they're not interchangeable, like consistency and keep pushing through. But it's hard to separate them also in some respects. So how I dealt with this as the years progressed, I realized that it is one thing to be consistent, and to be authentically consistent, and to be consistent from the heart, and another thing to just feel obligated to keep going, because that obligation doesn't necessarily align with what you want, or it might have been the thing in the beginning of where whatever it was that you started, but it's not anymore. And it's almost like you bet with yourself or with somebody and say, no, 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 no matter what, I will keep doing this, and even if it kills me. And yeah, I think that's how I experienced it in the beginning. And after that, when we started doing the work, when I heard you talking about spaciousness, when I understood, what is to give grace to yourself, what is to
Mm.
like love yourself, to understand what things like this do to you internally, um, then I separated the two. Yes, I can be consistent, but at the same time, I can listen to what I want, and how that consistency that I want to show, is sort of like in a nice way, um, coming together with how I feel. I hope that makes sense, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's how it is.
Yeah, and that's like that when you say coming that health, the healthy approach to
Yeah,
it. And I
yeah.
think when I listen to that phrase, I just have to push through. There is something about that that for me is almost like normalizing burnout. Like burnout becomes the strategy because it doesn't matter. I just have to keep on pushing through. I already don't like the push. I'm a great believer in the pull, not the push.
Yep,
Right, the minute I see the
absolutely.
word push, I always feel like it's a force. You're having to force something to be. And actually, when we are aligned, there is less pushing and much more pulling. It's
Yeah.
about the pull. And, what do we need to push through? Well, pretty much like I said at the beginning, strength to push through, but it feels like pressure. It doesn't even feel good because it's pressure. And therefore, that's not empowering. And I totally get that piece about that consistency. We can be consistent, but we need to check in. What am I being consistent with? And
Mm-hmm.
is it serving me or is it not? Because consistency for consistency's sake is like kind of crazy, right? um,
Absolutely.
do I want to consistently burn out? Absolutely not. So I need to be checking in and making sure this thing that I'm doing consistently feels and I want to say feels spacious, feels like the pause, feels like, yeah, this is strengthening me for what comes next. It's not detracting from me, it's not taking away from me. Because the minute we start to feel kind of weakened by it, that's not resilience. That's not being resilient. That's kind of
Absolutely.
literally, like you said, like being forced to follow because I said that I would, then therefore I must. It's like getting really confused about the difference between doing something because it feels aligned and right, and I can do this if I do it consistently and I do it in small steps, etc., to whatever it takes, I need to just get to it, and I'm just going to keep on going and keep on going and break down walls. And if that's coming from a good place, like if that feels energetically good, great. If it doesn't, stop. And that for me is why it's so important to pause. Because when we pause, it's our opportunity to say, hold on a minute, what am I doing? Why am I still doing this? I had a really interesting conversation yesterday because this just came up to me. The wonderful woman that I go to see for my holistic well-being, and she was talking about we were talking about half marathons, what we have and haven't done. And she said that the last time she did a half marathon, she said, I had an injury. I felt really awful, but I did it anyway. And she goes, I was miserable and I hated it and no pleasure. And she just said, but I felt that I had to, you know, I had to because I had said I was going to. So it's just like now I have to do it. But there was no joy.
Mm.
So again, we have to question what is the motive behind me doing this thing? And even sometimes we start off doing something because it does feel aligned, it does feel right, but somewhere along the line it stops, it loses that. So we have to say, where am I going with this? If this is no longer feeling like it's the right pathway or the right action, what are the other options? What might I need to do? And not be afraid of that, because I think there's sometimes I feel that that's something that people are afraid of. If I change, people will think I've lost my mind, or I'm not consistent, or I don't stick to anything. And actually, you have to listen to the internal guide because that is the guide that matters, not the 200 people around you saying what you should and shouldn't, must and mustn't do. And I'm not saying that it's not good to have feedback, but ultimately, what's sitting in here? And you'll never hear it if you don't pause, if you don't slow down, if you don't allow yourself to have the space to just be with whatever it is that you're thinking and feeling in that moment.
I completely agree. And the thing is that there are, those words and a lot of the myths that we are talking about, they're sort of like almost covered in the righteousness of it all. And I think that this is, you know, like somebody that said, okay, I'm going to run half marathon, and halfway through they got injured and they did it anyway. There are two sides to this. It's like, okay, I'm going to do it because I feel I want to do it and I want to prove something to myself, and I'm going to do it with alignment and joy, and I will complete it even though I am injured. And there is the other one that says, okay, I'll do it. I hate it, but I'll do it because I said I would do it. And then it is about, as you said, stopping, listening to what you're telling yourself and who you want to prove to anything that you do. And what difference will it make also if you do prove it to anyone? Because it is your own experience, how you're going to feel inside you rather than
Mm.
what's happening around, because you really don't know what other people are thinking or considering, or whether they're going to be proud of you or not proud of you, or whatever they are doing. So we tie up like things that are really not serving us and have absolutely nothing to do with evidence from anybody else anyway, to, you know, to this myths of like resilience and how I show up so people can see me, and they can see that I didn't stop, or whatever. And maybe nobody's looking, really. But you're going to feel the pain. That's the difference.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that it is important to get rid of this disguise that those words are having, and see them bare exactly as they are, and what they mean to you, going back to like what meaning do we give them, because it's us. It has nothing to do with the other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's that thing though, isn't it? And a kind of that sense of, you know, when I am, if I'm being resilient, then it, I want it to come from that place of strength that I feel like I've got what I need to do this thing. And if I haven't got what I need and I still need to do this thing, how do I resource myself to do it? So as opposed to, well, I'm just going to do it anyway, and I'm not going to stop and keep my foot on the pedal and you know, take myself into these places where my health then becomes compromised because I've just kept going anyway. We have to understand there is this balance between the doing, and I have nothing against doing. I spent most of my life being a doer.
Oh,
So I have no, there is nothing about that that for me is, you know, an awful thing. But there is a balance between the doing and the being. And the being is where we get to pause, where we get to rest, where we get to listen, where we get to tune ourselves in and restore ourselves for the things that we want, need to get done. And understanding that there is no weakness in doing that. Because I think also there is that thing is if I'm not pushing through, people will perceive me as weak. Of course, like you said, that's the message that we're telling ourselves. Everyone else may not give a flying anything, right? But that's what we're telling ourselves. We need to be aware of that. You know, so if I don't continue, if I don't push through, what is the story I'm telling myself by not doing it? What is the story I am telling myself? Am I telling myself I'm weak, I give up too easily? Da, da, da. What are all those underlying stories that I'm telling myself? And how true are any of them? Right?
but it is the evidence that we give ourselves, isn't it, for everything that we do. And it has taken me some time to realize that these things that we do for us, how many times we let ourselves down, and how we do things that have impact in us, how this plays out in our lives as we grow older. And
Mm,
I think most of the stories that we tell ourselves stem from this, stem from like the discussion we have with ourselves, and the wrong I, ideas or beliefs that, like, not wrong. What I'm trying to say is that the things that we thought were ours and they're not, and like the patterns that we followed, if we really and truly, and I have seen that with me, um, if we truly look into the patterns, we will see that it is a lot of it has nothing to do with our beliefs now, the way we are, the way we have showed up, but they are a gathering of evidence from years back that keep playing in our heads and say, oh, okay, yes, I didn't do this then, and then I felt really bad. So I have to push through here, because otherwise I'm going to replay that. But we need to unpack the past, or the things from the past, and understand before we take those evidence in this evidence in how do you call it, in face value, because that's
yeah.
what we do, and that's why when we're missing out the true information, that we should be looking at.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we need to, if we think about it from even like from the computer's perspective, you have to press refresh from time to time. It's
Yeah.
necessary. There needs to be an update. And we are, not that we're computers, God forbid, but in the same way, we need to refresh. And refresh for me is the being part, is the slowing down part. I need to refresh myself so that I can update my understanding of the world around me. If we don't stop to do that, then we are just continuing, and if the world is the world and we're seeing it through this one lens when there are many lenses to look at the world through. So for me, that's, yeah, and I say it a lot, and I say it in all my posts, and I'm constantly using the word pausing. There is something really magical, and I've learnt that for myself is the importance of the pausing and not getting trapped in that world of constantly doing, constantly being on it, constantly feeling the need to push through, must do, must do. Uh, because otherwise I'll feel like I haven't achieved anything, or other people will think this, or the situation will be that. For those of us in midlife who may have spent the best part of our lives doing that, now is the time to press refresh. Now is the time
Isn't it? I mean,
to
especially
come
when you
back.
have been doing it for all your life, it's
Mm.
hard to pause. It's hard to
Oh
say,
my gosh.
okay. But I think once you start doing it, then you can see the value of it, because I think there is more value in the pause than in the doing, because the doing can take you down rabbit holes and areas that you cannot get yourself out of. But the pause, even if you are in the worst case scenario,
Mm.
gives you the opportunity to like see what's going on around you, change the meanings, understand what the next step should be in a more um, realistic way. You're taking the emotion out of the whole thing. There are so many good things in the pause, and I like also going back to what I was talking about with regards to evidence, is that you can find evidence of this as well in your life. I guarantee you. It's just that we are constantly looking for a specific thing. And when you start looking for something else, you will find that too. And this is something that I mean has taken me a long time to realize that yes, you can find evidence for whatever it is that you are looking for. So yeah,
Yeah.
find evidence for the good stuff. I
Yeah,
think.
it's that's what it reminds me of that experiment that they always say, like with cars. If you think about a white car, you'll just constantly see white cars. If you think about a
Yeah,
red car, you'll constantly see red. There's a little bit of that goes on with it, right? So the
absolutely.
evidence will show up for whatever that's the story and the strength of the story that you're replaying. So stopping to look at it and question it without being judgmental, because again, that rabbit hole of now I'm looking at it, oh my gosh, what an idiot. Da, 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 da. No, it's not about that. It's just being able to say, I could be doing something different. There is another way to do this that keeps me strong and allows me to look at things with much more clarity, and to be able to do the doing bit with much more clarity, and do the right things that are, in the right way, and not over here, down there, up there, down, all over the place. So I think that that's really important. And the second phrase, I'm just going to move us on, is quitting means failing.
That is, like, you see, this is the narrative. This is what this, because we keep hearing so
Yes.
much like, oh, the only time you're going to fail is when you quit, right? Which is fantastic. I really love this. But you need to like think, what does it mean to you to quit as well? Because that makes a difference. And it's very hard, like when we're generalizing, words have like they're heavy. They're like can take us places. And yes, I completely and strongly believe that the only time to fail is quitting. But what does it mean to quit? And what does it mean to take a pause and continue the work that you want to do in a more like aligned way? How much further can that take you? Does it mean you quit if you're changing, let's say, the strategy along the way? If you change your collaborations along the way? If you change your background and your, I don't know, whatever it is,
Yeah.
the, the, your presence along the way, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And also, what are you quitting? What
Yeah,
are you quitting? So it's
correct.
even, what am I quitting? If I quit something, if I quit a project because the project is as dead as a dawn, if it's dead in the water and I'm quitting it, does that mean that I'm a failure? The project, even if I said, well, the project failed, it wasn't meeting the criteria, it wasn't getting us where we needed to go. We need to look through another lens. We're not saying I'll never ever do anything. We're just saying we need to get on another path. And that's okay. So I think that there is so much power in language. And I think sometimes we even forget that there is so much power in language. You know, if I quit, it means I'm failing. Not necessarily. If you're quitting, just understand what you're quitting and why that's happening. And what are you going to do? What's replacing it? What's the other thing? And that doesn't mean to say, every single day you start quitting things because, oh, I don't think it's working. That's not it. It's understanding again the pause so that you can be clear on why this thing is or isn't working. And is there something that we can tweak and do differently? Or do we just need to go on another path? And all of that takes pausing. That even that requires you to pause and to be able to look at the whole thing and make those decisions. And failure for me is the failure to live. That for me is a failure, and that means that you're not fulfilling the power, the immense power that is within you to deliver into the world. And that doesn't have to be grandiose either. I'm not talking about running businesses and all that. I'm just like, if you have been blessed with the power to look after and raise your family in a glorious way, utilize that. Utilize your strength and your power to do that without worrying about anybody else's judgment, what people may say or think. That's not your concern. Do that. Quitting doing that is then you letting yourself, I'm going to say more letting yourself down from something that is innate within you. So this for me is also about listening and getting to understand what is innate within me. How am I meant to show up in this world? What am I here to do? And I may have to travel along a few paths to get right on board to it. I certainly have. My goodness, don't ask me how many paths. Now I'm on the path. It's like, oh my goodness, that the clarity and the experience and the knowledge that I get to bring with me is second to none. So I don't even have an issue with all the paths because all the paths taught me stuff. Great,
Yeah.
great. And I'm not quitting on life until I drop dead, of course, and then that's a whole other thing. That's the reality.
Definitely. Definitely. But that's it. That you need to move with the times and to understand, like, since like, and probably the people that are watching us or have been over the times, they tend to work with themselves, right? To do some kind of work, to understand a little bit of why they're doing certain things and why not. They can really, I feel that it is a time to just be and accept, and maybe not. Maybe I'll take that back. Okay, I'll take that back. I lost my train of thought. It's not about accepting, it's about like understanding what is important to us, and especially because we all at this age, we are most of us midlife now.
Mm,
We have a plethora of things that we brought with us, and like all the experiences are valuable in so many different ways, but now we get to use them in a way that really can help us as well as others. And I think this is really beautiful, because for many years, a lot of us are just looking after other people and other people's needs and whatever. But now, with all the things that we carry with us, we can look after ourselves, and we can start by understanding what is it that we want to sit with, not what other people want us to sit with. What is it that really matters to me, rather than, how am I going to impress you? And I think this is part of this resilience myth
yeah.
in so many ways.
Definitely. And I think just to add to this conversation, this thing about quitting, I mean, I'm not sure if I even like the word quitting, because for me, quitting, letting go, releasing, there are things that we do need to release. There are things we do need to let go of. There is space that we need to create for what is meant to be in us and with us. And so there is no weakness in the quitting, the letting go, and the releasing. There's actually a lot of wisdom. And we may not be able to verbalize it in a given moment, but I will guarantee in time it will show itself up. So never be afraid of quitting, letting go, releasing. Last year, I let go of so much stuff. I was like, is there anything actually left on my plate? I let go of so much stuff. And then it suddenly, but what dawned on me was like, oh my gosh, Yvonne, how much stuff did you have on your plate? What was that all about? What were you trying to prove? What was the story in all of that? And again, taking that time to pause allowed me to, yeah, you were just gathering stuff, and you were half in this and a little bit in that. And no, that's not living. That's not the life that you want. And, that wasn't born out of resilience. That was born out of crazy. Seriously. And so I had to take the crazy hat off and just say, let's get back to a place where I can put my energies into things that truly matter. And that will build my resilience. Now, this is completely different energy. And, I can honestly say 2026 is unfolding in a really beautiful way. I mean, I'm literally getting internal messages that are just filling me with joy, because I'm like, oh my gosh, everything is feeling aligned. Now I feel restored. Now I feel resilient. I feel strengthened to move in the direction in which I'm going. That is resilience.
It's quite nice to hear you say that the enthusiasm, the joy, everything that comes out of it, and you're talking about the same word in a way, but how the meaning that you have given it has changed, and has like really, like, not only it serves you, it lights you up, and that is important. It is like one of those things, like when people ask you, what are you taking? I want some of that. And that's exactly what it is.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm taking some of that,
Mhm.
the good stuff. I'm
Okay.
choosing to live a life on my terms. That doesn't
Yeah,
mean to say that nothing else matters, but I'm choosing to live life on my terms, and I'm choosing to put my energy into the things that truly matter, which just brings me more energy. It doesn't deplete me. And I
yeah,
realize that when I'm doing things that are not fully aligned, that I'm not fully committed to, they drain me. They take from me. So even just being able to be able to identify that for yourself what is giving me the energy, the momentum to keep going, and what is actually depleting me, but I'm going to keep going anyway. It's a very different feeling. So being able to identify that can be the beginning of you deciding, actually, this is something I need to let go of. Actually, this is not the thing I want to push through on anymore. It's just not okay. And know that that's okay.
Absolutely. And I think this is a very beautiful moment to leave our listeners because, yeah, you said it so nicely there. And I need to take that on board more and hear it again. I love that last part.
Yeah. It's all in the embodying, right? I think we
Yeah.
hear a lot of things, and and I guess that's one of the things for me this year is what I believe, what I truly believe, and what's truly important. I don't want to just verbalize it. I want to be it. I need to embody it and show up that way. So it's not just a message, it's a sensation, it's a feeling, and that changes everything. That changes everything. So here's to being resilient. Here's to being in our strengths and feeling empowered, not pressured, and living the best life that we can, doing the things that truly matter to us.
Yes, absolutely. And let's do that with grind. No, sorry, not with grind, with grace, not grind.
With grace, not grind. Not with the grind.
No.
Excellent. As always, we thank you to anyone who has listened live or listens on replay. We love getting comments and feedback and thoughts. Whether the experiences are completely different, share them because that's the richness of the conversation. You know, what are
Absolutely.
you taking away? What would you add into the pot? We love it all.
Yeah. And here's another 100, Yvonne, of them,
Yes. Woohoo!
at least.
Absolutely. Thank you
Take
so much,
care.
Evie.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.